Crystal Palace, we out.
Pour marquer ce jour de finale de Coupe de France, voici le film Lumière numéro 699, Football. Mais en Angleterre, et il y a 98 ans. Vous allez voir, le rythme n'est pas très dense. Mais en fait, il ne s'agit apparemment pas d'un vrai match. Les joueurs semblent peu pressés de se déplacer sur le terrain et ils n'ont même pas l'air de s'intéresser au ballon, qu'on ne voit d'ailleurs que 2 fois. En tout cas, bravo à l'opérateur. Les rares actions de jeu se déroulent toujours ailleurs que devant la caméra.
The world's pastime. Billions of people that walk the earth have a passion for the game of international football, or soccer for Americans, that compares to none other. All you need is your feet in a field to create one of God's greatest inventions known to any mortal man.
My father used to tell me, listen, God give to you the gift to play football. But if you don't practice, if you don't train, if you don't respect the other player, you're never gonna be a good player. You must training, you must prepare yourself to respect the coach. This is my advice.
Countless of countries with countless of top-class footballers span centuries in the modern world and a millennia in the ancient world. The history of the game of football is a deep and illustrious one. A history that no one documentary can touch on at all. But this documentary will provide a glimpse into the history of this sport and one of the game's most cherished organizations, the Manchester United Red Devils. Man United, or United for short. For those more familiar with American professional sports, the Manchester United Football Club in England compares to the New York Yankees in baseball, Dallas Cowboys in football, or Los Angeles Lakers in basketball. Some of the best footballers in history have donned the Red Devils kit. Ronaldo, Rooney, Beckham, Cantona, Giggs. The Hollywood high-class displays that have been played at Old Trafford, aka the Theater of Dreams, will be told as folklore for generations between fans up and down the English Isles. No matter the successes of other clubs in Spain, Germany, France, or other places, the story of football cannot be told without England. So we will be coming back home today.
Here he comes. Oh my word! Can you believe the genius of this man?
Considered to be one of the greatest footballers of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo started the development to his legendary story at Old Trafford with Manchester United. After being on Sporting FC's youth club, Ronaldo's move to Manchester was completed on August 12, 2003. Although he requested the number 28, his number at Sporting, he received the squad number 7 shirt, which had previously been worn by such United players as George Best, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham. The ancient history needs to be laid out to build on the modern foundation. Let's go through the progression of the ball and kick games throughout human history, starting with the Han Dynasty.
就是用脚踢，狙就是皮质的球，蹴鞠就是用脚踢球的意思。04年的时候，这个林兹被确认为足球起源地。当时呢，要成立一支蹴鞠队。
The manual being described is a book called 25 Articles on Cuju, which was written during the Western Han Dynasty, 206 BC to 24 AD.
There were also competitive versions of the game. By D.A.T.A, the most popular, was played informally between teams of 6 on pitches that were marked out into squares, within which, like netball, players were caged. The rules are pretty hazy, but it seems that teams had to try and land the ball in the opposition's squares and then scuffle to take the ball for the next phase. A pair of high goalposts were set up in the centre of the pitch, a net was strung between them, and a hole cut in it. Teams passed the ball among themselves before a designated player tried to put the ball through rather than into the net. Some of these games were played by professional entertainers, some were refined into stylized courtly versions played by scholars and members of the imperial court. But above all, it was the kickball societies, present all over urban China and remarkably open to different social classes that played the game most. Though as this 15th century manual suggests, you'd be advised to up your game when playing with high society. On arrival in the ball society, haughtiness of mind is cast off. Shoulder to shoulder with prince and marquis, how could fools be worthy of this?
Manchester United have won a record 20 league titles, 12 FA Cups, 5 League Cups, and a record 21 FA Community Shields. They have won the European Cup, UEFA Champions League 3 times, and the UEFA Europa League, the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and the UEFA Super Cup, the Intercontinental Cup, and the FIFA Club World Cup once each. In 1968, under the management of Matt Bugsby, 10 years after 8 of the club's players were killed in the Munich air disaster, they became the first English club to win the European Cup.
BEA Flight 609 prepares for its third takeoff attempt from Munich Airport. The plane carrying the Manchester United Football Club is drawing attention from inside the terminal.
You've got to remember these are the Busby babes. They're laughing and joking all the time, that sort of thing. But now they're quite quiet and a lot of tension there in the air.
Little Johnny Berry, he said, we're all going to get frickin' killed here. And Liam Whelan said, well, if it happens, I'm ready. At that point, I opened my tie.
Raymond now is waiting, is anticipating now thing to call out 119 knots, which is V2.
At 119 knots, the plane can become airborne.
Raymond now is waiting, is anticipating now thing to call out 119 knots, which is V2.
At 119 knots, the plane can become airborne. But something goes wrong. They suddenly lose speed.
Christ, we're not going to make it!
The bridge that connects the origins of association football and the dynamics of mainstream professional football today is shown in the Netflix limited series called The English Game.
The English Game is really about an extraordinary moment in, I was going to say British football, but really football, which was when the working class teams took over the game.
The English Game is ultimately a story of two men from vastly different worlds, vastly different backgrounds, and how they influenced and revolutionised football as we know it today, and ultimately revolutionised society today.
For me, it's about the two central characters, one an old Etonian, Arthur Kinnaird, the other a Scotsman who comes down and plays for Darwin and the Lancastrian team called Fergus Souter.
Showing football at the centre of what was going on within British Victorian society at the time, which was huge social changes, social upheaval. When we approached the show, we knew that we had these two worlds that come together and clash. There's the upper class world and there's the working class world. Now that working class world, a lot of that exists around mills, the mill town that we have, Darwin, and you just don't find that anywhere except the north and northwest of England. And so we thought it would make a lot of sense to base ourselves out of Manchester in the northwest and film up there, and then try and find the upper class locations that often are meant to be in London.
Not only was the show shot in Manchester, it was released March 20th, 2020, which has 43 date numerology. Kickball Games, Manchester, and Red Devil all equal 43 in the English reduction cipher. With the Premier League and FIFA being billion-dollar organizations in 2022, players do not have to worry about being undercompensated as they felt in the past, which opened the door for Manchester United to bring in the best footballers from all over the world, sparing no cost. Manchester United was the highest earning football club in the world for the 2016-2017 season, with an annual revenue of £676.3 million, and the world's third most valuable football club in 2019, valued at £3.15 billion, or $3.81 billion. After being floated on the London Stock Exchange in 1991, the club was taken private in 2005 after a purchase by American businessman Malcolm Glazer valued at almost £800 million, of which over £500 million of borrowed money became the club's debt. From 2012, some shares of the club were listed on the New York Stock Exchange, although the Glazer family retains overall ownership and control of the club. The Northern Football Club's purse has been able to buy international greats like Cristiano Ronaldo from Portugal, Zlatan Ibrahimovic from Sweden, Robin van Persie from the Netherlands, Paul Pogba from France, and a host of other celebrity footballers. Join my Patreon today for only $5 to receive a monthly esoteric documentary on your favorite sports athletes and events. Real, raw, uncut, and uncensored without the limitations of YouTube. Join today to see the other side of the sports world.